in what you do and teach me.
So the way it works, or the way we work at it, is we have a designated ministry line, 229-375-3522. It's also on the website, myfathersbusinessministries.org. So someone would call into the ministry line, and Stacy handles all the scheduling. And so I don't know names or nothing until we walk into a session. And our sessions we usually see couples from 5 to 7 sessions for about an hour per session. And most people don't want to come in or say there's a whatever fear because they think they're going to have to air their laundry. And what kind of separates us from everyone else is we don't air laundry. We don't go backwards once they come in the door, and Stacy tells everyone that during scheduling, we're basically hitting Control Alt Delete and going forward. And so I teach for about 55 minutes straight each session. The last 10 minutes of the session, sometimes there's questions come up about that session on how we can use the mechanics to go forward. But when a couple gets into the he said, she said, or he did, she did, we just shut them down. That's not who we are. That's not how we operate. But Stacy's very upfront with everyone when they call in, as is David and Jane with Good Samaritan. That's been their not secret to success, but the pattern works, the methods works, the function works. And a lot of couples, when David and Jane were teaching us the material, I told David straight out, I was like, this will never work for us. I was like, people want to tell us everything. They want to, yeah. And David was like, trust me, people will appreciate it. And I was like, it's not going to work for us. It's just not how we're wired. Our very first couple, about halfway through the session, I stopped to look at the notes because I didn't have it in here yet, or here really. The man said, and he didn't even want to come. It was his wife that drug him, but he stopped me and said, I am so glad you're not asking us anything. And I was like, let me step out and call David real quick. But nearly every couple we see, and it's usually the man, is very appreciative at the end of the 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th session that we didn't draw any information out. The reason being, in a lot of cases, that information, they cannot handle that information back and forth. They can't dialogue with it without getting into a big explosion. And so by coming in to two people they don't know and putting it out, either me or Stacy one would have to validate and say, man, you're right, or woman, you're right. And in doing so, we would be saying by default, one is wrong or one is right. We don't pick sides. We just start in Genesis 1:1. We talk about the garden and what happened in the garden, and then the commission was for man to work and keep the garden prior to woman coming into the garden. And so we spend a lot of time with that. We spend a lot of time with Romans 12:2. Don't be conformed by the patterns of this world, but be transformed by renewing your mind. I spent many afternoon on Pastor Jimmy Smith's couch just on Romans 12:2, and just how we would get waist deep into a theological conversation, and he would just stop and say, how does Romans 12:2 relate to that? And a lot of times it didn't relate to the conversation. We'd have to go all the way back to the beginning and start another path. Because if you really take Romans 12:2 into account, everything is anew. Everything is anew. Well, nothing's new under the sun. Well, it's not, but we get away from the principles.